Look, let me make this real simple for you, Mr. Croft. That's how he started standing on my porch face, all smooth, like he'd never seen a hard day cologne so strong it stung my nose, telling me my fence was a violation, telling me it was simple, like my whole life my piece was a line on his HOA checklist. And for a minute, I let him talk. Because after 30 years wearing a badge, you get real good at reading men, and Croft was the rarest kind. The kind who lies so much to himself he doesn't even hear it anymore. He wasn't alone either. Two big guys with matching shirts, faces, soft eyes, emptier than a broken bottle, stood behind him trying to look dangerous. Hired muscle I'd seen better. But it wasn't them that rattled me. It was the paper in Croft's hand, some fake HOA summons 3 miles out from here. He thought that piece of paper was going to push me off my land, same way he'd probably gotten his way his whole life, all bluster and pressure. What he didn't know was that the ground under his fancy shoes was solid because of folks like my granddad and, yeah, even me, men who worked for it, not bought it. This cabin was the only thing that kept me steady after the Riker case tore my world down, the only patch of earth where I could still breathe. Croft's smile broke as he got impatient. "Are you listening, old man?" he said, and his muscle boys flexed like maybe I'd fall over from fear. I let the silence build because men like him don't understand silence. They're not built for it. And I took a slow sip of coffee, letting the heat anchor me. "You've said a lot about rules," I finally told him, "but maybe it's time you learned about mine." There was something in my eyes. He recognized some old steel because I wasn't just some retiree, not when it came to this land. He scoffed. "Your rules. You don't have rules. You have suggestions." I stood, letting him see I still had a little fight left in me, enough that his goons had to look up to meet my eyes now. "My rules are older than yours," I said. "They come with consequences. You came here waving a forged order. That's a felony, Section 470. And bringing these two who aren't licensed security, trying to remove me based on your forgery, that's Section 538D. Now you're up to conspiracy." That landed. The color left his face. The tough guy act melted. Those goons of his, they weren't looking at him anymore. They were watching me, figuring out which side was safer. "Here's what's going to happen," I told them. "You three get back in your nice SUV, drive away, and you don't come back. And you tell whoever sent you that Caleb Hayes sends his regards, and as the former state police chief, I tend to finish what I start." You should have seen them scatter, tripping over each other in a cloud of dust and regret. But I knew it wasn't over. Croft was just a puppet, too slick for his own good. Somebody else wanted me gone, and I was in the way. That night sleep wouldn't come. I sat in my granddad's chair, shotgun in my lap, Buddy snoring at my feet, watching the moon move over the lake. The fight wasn't about a fence. It was about something buried out here, something Croft wanted back. In the morning, I dug out an old drone from the closet. Never thought I'd use it for more than chasing elk across the ridge. But that day, it was a tool. I flew it over Crimson Peak Estates, a gated scar of lawns and glass houses, Croft's palace at the top. Cameras, guards, patrol cars, I mapped every inch, my old instincts humming. I didn't know it yet, but I was laying a trap for myself. That night, a flicker of orange woke me, gasoline and burning pine. My fence, the one I'd built with my own hands, was a funeral pyre. And floating above the flames, a drone with a blinking red light recording the whole thing like a trophy. That rage, colder than the lake in January, settled over me. I dropped the drone with a shotgun blast and dragged its smoking carcass into the cabin. The memory card held more than just arson footage. It held flight data coordinates tracing back not to Croft's mansion, but to a little electronics shop in town. The next day, I showed up at Digital Echo Repair. Kid behind the counter covered in tattoos tried to play dumb till I dropped the busted drone on his desk. "Data scrubs odd jobs," he stammered. "Croft pays in cash." He was hiding something bigger. "What's he so paranoid about?" I pushed. Finally, he cracked. said Croft was obsessed with erasing all mention of the Crimson Viper case. That's when the world froze because Crimson Viper was my old case. My partner Mark got killed because of a leak, because of a traitor named Chris who'd taken a payoff, and Croft was the one who got away. Now he was back buying up all the land around me, hiding something. I hit the county records office, spent hours tracing deeds. Every lot around mine was now owned by Croft's shell company. He was building a buffer zone, a fortress. My 40 acres were the hole in his wall. I dug through the oldest survey map, matched it against new GPS data, and found a 15-foot discrepancy right along the stone wall. That evening, with Buddy beside me and the shotgun propped up nearby, I dug till my hands bled and finally hit something, a capped PVC pipe heavy as sin. Inside, stacks of cash fake passports, a black ledger, and a flash drive. The ledger had names, payoffs to customs cops, shipping tycoons, even Chris, the man whose betrayal had killed Mark. It was the Crimson Viper's whole operation, buried under my land like a snake in the grass. I hid the ledger and drove deep in the old well. I wasn't just in danger now, I was the one thing Croft couldn't let live. I barely slept, living on coffee and nerve, shotgun never far. On the third day, Sheriff Brody called Deputy Miller. A good kid had gone missing after asking too many questions. His car was found abandoned on Old Creek Road. Croft was sending a message. I was alone, but now people around me were at risk. When I found a photo in my woodpile, Buddy's head in a sniper's crosshairs, something in me snapped. I called an old friend, Dawn, now working in the state capitol. Leaked that I have evidence from the Crimson Viper case, I told him. Tell them I'm taking it to the feds in 48 hours. The trap was set. I turned my cabin and woods into a fortress, floodlights wired to remotes, tripwires, rifles sighted, in Buddy, always by my side. I wasn't hiding anymore. I was waiting. They came at 2 a.m., 6 men in Black Croft with them. They tried to move quiet, splitting up in teams, but this was my ground. I caught the first pair in a burst of floodlight, and beanbag rounds down they went. Second pair, I dropped a dead tree across their path with a shot from my granddad's .30-06. Croft himself, rattled and desperate, charged the cabin. His last guy never saw Buddy come and took him down in a blur of fur and teeth. Then it was just me and Croft, the Crimson Viper himself, stumbling, gun raised. He fired wild. I tackled him, drove him into the dirt, finished it with the old handcuffs I'd carried my whole career. Dawn and the state police swarmed in before the sun rose, carted Croft and his mercenaries away. They found Miller alive, but shaken. The ledger and drive, everything handed over, and the Crimson Viper case ripped open nationwide. Dozens arrested, justice served. A month later, first snow fell on the rebuilt fence. Buddy slept at my feet, and the silence had a different weight to it, a peace I'd earned, but not without scars. You know what I mean? Out here, lines on a map can get you killed, and sometimes a fence is a tombstone for the past. But in the end, my land, my rules. The ghosts are quiet now, but if you think that's the end of the story, well, you tell me. Was justice really done, or did the worst of them just slip away for another round? Drop your take in the comments, right or wrong, fence or freedom. Who do you think really won?